Hi guys, and welcome to the RAF Gazebos. This is at Donington Park, round 8 of the No Limits calendar, so the last one of the year. This race in particular is going to be the Interservices Open Class race. So you've got everything in there from sort of 200 brake horsepower superbikes all the way down to 50 brake horsepower Honda CB500s. Throughout the video I'm going to do some little voiceovers here and there just to give you an idea of what I'm thinking about and to explain some of what you're seeing on the track at the time. So you can see me put my gloves on there. Some of the guys around me aren't quite as prepared as I am. Prepared is maybe the wrong word. I like to get ready quite nice and early. If I'm sort of last minute and panicked and rushed, I tend to find the helmet isn't quite sitting right, or my gloves aren't comfortable on my hands or whatever, so I like to get everything ready super early.
There's Aiden. You all good? What?
Is it Coningsby?
Yeah.
No, I know who he is. Oh, that's mum's so cute, look at her. Wait for him to come out. Aww. Yeah, I'm sure I've seen him. I saw him at Family's Day, Coningsby Family's Day.
Probably.
So some people might have questions about the Royal Air Force team and what the Royal Air Force is doing racing motorbikes. Quite simple really. We all are serving in the military, either regular or reserve, all from different backgrounds and trades and ranks. Supporting the RAF is quite a big thing. It's something the Air Force really pushes. It's good for our personnel, it's good for exposure for the Air Force as well. All of the bikes that are in the race, certainly in the Air Force side, are all owned by the personnel individually, so it's their own bikes. So like my bike there is a Yamaha R6, I bought off another guy who raced it last year, even came with a V5 in my name. We do get little bits of help here and there. There's things like the Central Fund that is essentially a lottery, much like the National Lottery in the UK. People pay into it and then sort of excess from that or funding from that helps us to go racing. And it's not just racing motorbikes, there's cars, karts, rally, and then on the other side of the sports spectrum there's football, rugby, basketball, esports. There's a bit of everything in there. So that's how we get to go and do this. So you can see the warmers getting unplugged there. We're going to take those off now and then we'll get out onto the track.
Thank you. Can you get the back stand for me? Yeah. That. See you in 20 minutes.
So I said there, see you in 20 minutes. I like saying that before I go out because we know what we're about to go and do is quite a high risk thing. Lots of adrenaline and energy involved, and it's perfectly feasible to think that you're not going to walk back to the awning or ride back to the awning afterwards. So saying that, see you in 20 minutes is just a nice little way of sort of relaxing the situation. That girl there, she spoke to me, she said position 32, row 11 I think she said, if I remember right. I can't hear it while I'm recording. She's just reminding me where I need to be on the grid. So now as I come onto the grid here, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for my position. I know roughly from the grid position sheet that we looked at before who's going to be around me. I had a pretty poor qualifying, so you'll see I'm right down with the Honda CB500s. So I need to get a really good start and get off the grid nicely to put myself in a reasonable position for the race. Luckily at Donington, next to the little grid spots, there are numbers for where we want to be. See Kyan on the left there, give him a little nod in a sec, and you see some people up in the grandstands giving us a watch. So as the grid forms on the left down the pit wall, you see some yellow flags, and you might see right down in the distance at the front of the grid, there's someone with a red flag. When that red flag gets lifted, we know it's pretty much go time for the warm-up lap. There's Kai in there, that person's going to walk off to one side, and then we'll get off for a warm-up lap. When we come to the actual race start, that person with the red flag will be there again, but when they walk off, we're not looking for a flag wave to set off anymore, we're looking for those red lights on the gantry, again right down the front of the grid. A nice big sigh there just to try and relax myself. This is lots of adrenaline pumping, heart's beating very hard at this point. So given how the qualifying felt for me in the wet, with those wet tyres, I didn't feel comfortable at all. So the warm-up lap is just that, it's just a warm-up, and these are my first laps around Donington on this bike in the dry. So you heard me saying there, yep, this feels better. I felt much more comfortable for it, which is a good feeling to have on the warm-up lap, because you don't want to be going into the race start feeling uncomfortable. It's also good to remember that the warm-up lap isn't lap 1 of the race, so there's no point going all balls out on it. So here I'm just trying to sort of get a feel for the bike, get the tyres warmed up a bit more if they need it, and get the brakes warmed up as well. It's also a good opportunity to see what the track is like. So if it's a particularly windy day, are you going to feel that on one corner more than the other? If there's been oil down in the day, where's the dust? Where do you want to try and sort of avoid? And yeah, a good heads up of what the weather's like. So coming back onto the grid here, you see the yellow flags waving, so we're slowing down looking for a grid slot again, and then we'll be looking for those yellow flags to disappear off the pit wall, looking for the red flag at the front to go up, move across, and then watching for the lights. So there we go, red lights on, and away we go. Not the best of starts, but certainly better than what I've had in the past. Managed to jump a nice row ahead and then into the first corner. So what you don't see here is Maka on my left hand side just there. You'll see him just there, there he goes. He just won the 400s championship, or wrapped up the 400s championship earlier in the day, I think it was. Lap 1, as much as it's a bit more aggressive than the warm-up lap, I'm still not too aggressive on lap 1. I should be more aggressive, but I'm not. Once you get through lap 1 and everyone's sort of found their place, then I like to start picking off people as I can. Maka's on a slower bike, so I know that coming out of Coppice, I think this corner is, I can do him down the straight and then work ahead. Little wiggle of the rear there, as I don't quite have the confidence to go underneath Matt on lap 1. Keep an eye on my lap timer here, see if you can make out the time. 1:55.08. So that's my lap 1 time. Bear in mind that was my first sort of flying lap, if you can even call it a flying lap, of Donington on this bike in the dry. So now I'm trying to work out kind of what I can get away with around the circuit without it being too risky. This is the last race of the year. I'm not fighting for any championships, so as much as everybody wants to do well in a race, because what would be the point otherwise, I also don't want to throw it down the road. So coming up to my favourite bit of Donington, Foggy S's, come over the little hump, front wheel comes up, comes back down, on the brakes, pretty early considering how I was doing at the end of the race. You can take loads of carb through here, which I wasn't doing quite so much. Last time I rode this track, I'm pretty sure the whole inside of the right-hander bit of the S's was nice and smooth. It's not anymore. So I wasn't sure how much I could get away with through there until later in the race. So a little look at the lap timer as I came across the line there, 1:50.7. I know I could do better than that. Last year I raced a 1991 F4 600 round here, and the endurance race, same round, but in 2024. I think my best time then was a 1:49, and that was a pretty stock bike other than the fact it had race fairings on it, so no headlights. So now I'm looking to better that time. I definitely should be able to. This bike's more than capable of doing that. I know I just need to get my head in gear. So you'll notice there that on the brakes into the foggy S's, like I said, it's my favourite bit of the track. I took a bit of time out of Matt on his Gixxer, so as we're going round here, although there's a bit of a gap, I am still watching him to try and see where I can make up time on him and where I'm losing time. Those bits that I'm losing time on are the bits I want to work on. The bits that I am gaining time on him, I sort of, obviously I can go faster around them, it's not impossible, but I want to focus on the bits where I'm losing ground on him. A little short shift there. I think I'm short shifting into 4th to go down Craners. It just gives me a little bit less to think about while I'm going down one of the fastest and probably scariest bits of the track. Another little short shift up there. That's to stop me having to play with the gear shifter while I'm on the left side of the tyre. Obviously the gear shifter's on the left, so it makes it a bit difficult when you're leant over that side. So talking about me watching Matt and trying to learn where he's quicker than me, I changed my line into that last corner to try and get a better exit. His bike is faster than mine in a straight line, and he was definitely at that point exiting corners better than I was, so I knew that I needed to improve my exit of the corners. And you can see from my lap timer there, I have improved the time very slightly to try and gain ground on the guys in front. I'm also noticing that Matt is starting to reel in Joe while I'm not dropping off Matt too much, so I'm thinking about trying to just do my best to keep with Matt and hopefully reel in Joe as well. There we go, so Matt's just gone under Joe and Joe's just gone under Matt there again on the exit. So I know that those two sort of battling out with each other a little bit is going to allow me to catch them up slightly. So I'm making sure to concentrate at this point and not focus on them so much, but focus on what I'm doing. So now I'm watching Joe as Matt's got past Joe and is disappearing off into the distance as best he can, and I'm recognising here how much space I've closed up on Joe coming out of the old hairpin and back up the hill. So I'm thinking about maybe next lap if I can just do enough to get past him and continue trying to hunt down Matt. Just not quite close enough there. Joe's really good on the brakes going into Melbourne Loop, so I backed out of that one quite early. I had a little scare in the middle of the corner where the front slid and the back slid slightly, but we crack on. Time's coming quicker again, 1:46.6 now, and I'm looking to get a good run down Craners. However, wrong gear. Went through there in 4th instead of 3rd as I had done the rest of the race. So I want a really good run out of the old hairpin. You'll notice I take a slightly different line to Joe. I've tipped in slightly later so I can stand the bike up slightly sooner. We just park it on the inside, and luckily where I'd put it meant that he couldn't come underneath me either, or at least couldn't have the drive to come underneath me, which is nice. Now at this point I'm looking at the curb and I'm looking up again, and I'm seeing that Matt is now closing in on a back marker. As we come through foggy S's, I take full advantage of that as best I can, but again, just don't quite have the confidence to get underneath him going into the Melbourne Loop. Again, slightly different line to Matt, to try and get the bike stood up as early as I can and get a good run out of the last corner. Now that I'm closer to Matt, I'm looking to see where I can get past him, if I can get past him at all. Luckily my bike is quite quiet, so I don't think he knows I'm here at this point, and I'm doing my best to take advantage of that. I do get a good run up here, but not quite as good a run as the one I had on Joe, so I couldn't quite make the same pass as I did a lap earlier. Now I know coming up is a foggy S's, and it's one of my favourite places to get past people, so I'm trying to get the best exit I can out of here to try and get tucked in behind Matt and be as close as I can. And there you go, you can see how much curb I used there compared to lap sort of 1, 2 and 3. At this point I've learned what I can get away with, as I said, and use to my benefit. So out of Melbourne Loop, I'm trying to get a really good exit to try and stop Matt from coming up the inside of me, and I'm sticking slightly more left than I would have otherwise to try and stop him coming up the inside of me. Now for the last lap, I really want to get my head down and put in a good lap time to try and keep the position that I have now, which I think is 22nd. So not brilliant, but certainly better than the 32nd I qualified in the wet. could hear me sort of telling myself or instructing myself on what to do there, to try and just keep that concentration and do my best around this lap. Again, probably just went in there a bit hotter than I was used to doing, and just convincing myself that everything's okay and just relax. Coming up to the checkered flag now, and I'm quite happy with the result, as you'll hear. Just getting a cheeky little fist bump off Matt there. Matt's sort of season this year has gone from strength to strength. He has progressed massively and put him some really good lap times across the circuits. So I was really sort of proud of myself to have matched him and ultimately beat him in that particular race. Well, thanks very much for watching. I hope that's given you a bit of an insight into what we do and the open class race, and also the sort of thought process behind what's happening throughout the race, certainly in my head. Take it easy. There's some of the videos on here, there's some on Instagram. Some of them are a bit more involved on Instagram and a bit more fun than voiceover races. With any luck, hopefully I'll see some of you next year. Come and say hi. Till then, take it easy.